Hi, Capricorn. I'm Lisi, the High Priestess, and this can resonate in your past, present, future conversations that you're having synchronicity. Um, this is my brand new channel, my old name. So press like, subscribe, notification. The notification, you can get my lives. If not, you have to wait 12 hours. I'm in a lot of physical pain. And I feel ugly today, Capricorn. Um, and I feel like drowsy. I think my lips are chapped. Hopefully today could be a better reading than yesterday's. I'm trying again. All right. Let's get back on it like we did last time. I think I want to throw like a bunch of deck of cards on you. These two right here. No! Three of Swords! No! Three of Swords, Three of Swords, Three of Swords. That's how it be nowadays. When things happen to me, I'll be like, no! Three of Swords, Three of Swords, Three of Swords. And then I tell myself, there's a reason sometimes why accidents happen. Because if these accidents didn't happen, we wouldn't know certain things. We will be the last to know these incidents didn't happen. I don't want you to see where it's cut off from the blanket. All right. Let's get into tarot. I need more yoga in my life. I don't think I'm having enough of it. Actually, I wish I could. Today I did my workout late. Today I didn't pull weeds. And I try to rest. I never rest. Oh, it's 1:30. I need to eat. I do need to eat. That's probably why I'm tired and I feel like weak. It's time to get some food. Right? So Capricorn, make sure that you're feeding yourself, eating the right things too. Okay. Wow. Okay. Finally, two cards came out. We got Destroy, Influence, Burn It, Strong, and Quick. We got Santa Muerte reversed. Actually, I got both of these reversed. I feel like you don't have to do anything. Fear. Do not fear. Grow and learn. Not to fear death, but learn from death. When you learn from death, you learn to live. I sometimes feel that some people, even after so many times being close to death, they still continue to play with her. And her very existence, I believe she does exist. I honestly believe that God has different entities assigned to do certain things in the universe. Maybe I'm too far fetched on this, but maybe I'm not. And I believe that Santa Muerte, La Muerte, she does what she want to do. But it says don't fear because someone will not die. Someone there's no need to do any kind of work. You have to stand back. Fear no evil, fear no death. Don't fear it. Because I see fear right here. And these are actually my drawings. I get the 8 of Cups, okay? So don't laugh at me. But this is how she looked backwards. But listen, she kind of looked like me. She's having a bad hair day. Like, this is how someone looks at work with their hairbrush. Like, huh? I didn't know how to draw her. She's so cute. Like Death is like, I'm just here. I just came here for a haircut. Like, why is y'all scared? Okay. Also, when someone says the word "I'm dead," and dead and death is there, like, did you call me? Someone doesn't fear death either. There's no need to fear death. The Eight of Cups. There's no need to manifest fear too. The Nine of Pentacles and the Lover's card. Eight of Swords. I feel like someone is what most people fear, you don't fear. You actually love it. You like it. Okay. You could be into goth girls, or you met a goth girl or something, like here, like, you know what? You know what, witch? You ain't all that bad, witch. Okay. You know what this reminds me of? The movie, I think it's called The Girl Across the Window or something like that, but it's not the scary one where that girl actually turns out to be a medium. That's what it would be called. The fact that she could talk to the dead and the dead was coming. I'm going to talk about both those movies. There's The Girl Across the Window, across the street, or across the house on Netflix, whatever. And she has dreams about people coming to her dead, and she thought maybe, because her child was murdered by a serial killer, and so she was coping being on pills and stuff like that. And her her ex-husband was an FBI agent, and she had, it was pretty insane what happened to her. And it turned out it was the little girl cross. Maybe I'm killing the movie, but that's a little demon child right there. Anyways, it turned out to be that little demon child. And it wasn't her. And she was trying to, like, that little girl was strong. But I watched it to the very end, and I was like, this chick didn't even realize she was a whole fucking medium. She wasn't schizophrenic. She was a medium. She could see things. She couldn't understand them. I was thinking that because she was able to find out about the murders. It wasn't the dude that she suspected, but she was very close to the person that was that little girl, the most innocent one out of everything. Oh, the one that, oh, it was her. And it comes just to show how a medium could get attacked by a demon. Be careful with looks. Okay, now there was the other one. It was a girl that was obsessed with this jock. His name was Aries. And Aries hacked into her laptop and then realized that she had been spying on him. And she was like obsessed with him. And so he would call her the witch. But he fell in love with the witch. And this boy happened to be a very rich boy. He comes from a family where they believe that sex is just a feeling. It's all about business. So he was raised on that kind of love. And then when he was growing up, he had gone through certain situations in his life where he saw his mom be promiscuous with other men and would see his dad have promiscuous adventures. So this thing called love was nothing but a business negotiation. Love really didn't exist because that's how his family was raised. Now, she was raised differently. She was raised by a mom who was a waitress, very humble, and that her dad was an actual writer, an aspiring writer. Like right before he died, he was nominated for something. But literally, like the cutoff of that good neighborhood, that those good housing, it was like on her house. So she was like in an apartment duplex, and right next door, you could see the big old mansion that he lived in. He's so rich that he climbed onto her stuff, into her apartment, and started to, hacked into her, into the laptop and everything. And then he figured out that, like, she was obsessed with him. And then as the story goes on, the more and more they get to know each other, um, he starts falling in love with her. And this man, he was an asshole to her at first, this little boy. But and he almost died. She was there for him, and she like made a deal with the family, like, I'll be there for him. I will push him forward to be the best at his career. I will never try to stop him, but like, we're in love with each other. He wasn't going to stop seeing her, and she wasn't going to stop seeing him, because after they started to get to know each other, they were madly in love. And the first thing that he said when he opened his eyes from almost dying was like, which Nine of Swords, Eight of Swords, Nine of Swords, the Ace of Swords. Okay, so you could be watching a movie, I feel like a romantic movie, or you feel like it's a, because even the one with the medium, she ended up getting back with her ex-husband, and they ended up healing from all that trauma that both of them endured watching, because their daughter was killed and murdered. A serial killer actually ate this FBI agent's daughter. It was pretty intense, the movie. And it's hard. And her daughter was always visiting her mom. So, but anyways, at the end, they figured how to overcome all this trauma. And it was like so many smoking mirrors to get to the very end. And at the very end, there came a new case where she seen a woman sitting in her seat. And then this other movie with the other girl across the street looking at the window, I don't know. Looking at Aries, I don't know. Um it talked about two people from two different backgrounds, different level of money, and how both of them learned to compromise, because he was rich and he started to work at a hot dog stand just so he could be close to her. And at first, because she had lost her virginity to him, he was trying to act like he wasn't sprung, but he was. So he tried to have sex with other girls and stuff like that, but it was never the same after he had touched her. And I would say naturally that it doesn't have to be like that in real life. You know, just the energy that you have with one person that you can never find in another. The Princess of Cups. I see you sitting down watching a movie and thinking about this. Like, wow, their love, like, look how it happened. It started with just a little bit of an obsession and then ended up with full blown love. And now I can't stop spying. I can't stop looking. And by the way, the boy looked like that. He survived, by the way. She had faith. She stuck by him the whole time that he will get better. Yes, they went through the ups and downs, and he went through his jealousy. There was two boys fighting over her. Him and her best friend, which was a man, was like madly in love with her. He knew about it. He knew about it. The full card. This how he looked too. He was madly in love with her, like hella in love with her. And he knew it. And it's like, how can we get into a common ground and a common understanding that we both love her and that she needs us both in their life in order for hi, I need to do yoga, Michelle, big time. It's so good to hear from you. I don't want to start crying again when I see a fan or someone that like supports me. I did yesterday and I had to erase everything. But in the movie, and I think Michelle, you said you have watched it, remember? I think we actually had a conversation about it. I believe it was you. Anyways, so I'm talking about this movie again. The Six of Swords. It's funny that everybody has different love stories. Like one had death, both death was in both of the movies. Actually, the very main character, do you all know that in Hollywood, one of the most famous people or, entity in Hollywood is death. Without her, there will be no movies. Without death, there will be no movies. Scorpio in the house, the death card. Without her, this world will be, we need death in our life. Do you know there's actually people that are suffering from diseases and stuff like that? They're just tired of fighting. They wish they could like pull the plug, and death be like, say no more. And I know this is making a joke out of something so serious, but for those whoever, especially for those that have worked in hospice, that's not no joke when you see someone truly suffering and they're just like, please pull the plug, like please just do this, like I won't look, like I'm just tired, I'm ready to ascend, I'm ready to reincarnate, I'm ready to meet my maker, I'm ready to make amends with whatever I can. So many movies have had death in there. Death played the role on there and makes such a spectacular movie or episodes or documentaries. If it wasn't for death, this life would not be interesting at all. We don't give enough credit to death. I'm not saying to go worship her, because clearly there are people. Santa Muerte is an actual entity that Spaniards worship. It ain't voodoo. It's very much practiced in Latin America. Excuse me. So, death is famous. Death is known. Death is highly sought after. Also, this reminds me of Scream. Okay, the new movie Scream. Where were you when the movie Scream came out? Um, and even that, people go watch that. There's Final Destination 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I feel like the thrill of being close to death, many of us, we seek it. Also, Halloween is near. um I don't know why I wanted to talk to you about those two movies. It just came out. Sometimes I want to talk about it because it, like, have you ever watched the movie and it was so much like your own and you're like, what the f? Or like, have, it's like, for example, I don't know about y'all, but I feel iffy when I'm like behind a log trailer after watching Final Destination 1. I don't want that thing to go. I don't want all of a sudden a can appear under my brakes and this an eerie death. Okay. A thousand ways to die. There's a million ways to die, but see, we always talk about death and we never talk about life. No shade on death, okay? Because she's famous, she's popular, she makes it poppin'. Halloween is poppin'. She's there all the time. Say no more. I'm there. You need me to pull the plug? I'm here. Okay. I feel like death is the plug here. Okay. She knows this all. All she knows that every day she wakes up or she don't go to sleep because she's forever, or I don't know how many helpers she's has because she's there all at once. Sometimes, me and you might pass away at the same time, at the same day, in some kind of eerie way, and we'll become popular. Like, oh my gosh, same time as Lisi. I know I play too much with death. It's just that I'm a medium and I look at things very, very different. Even when I see dead animals and dead stuff, like I have a lot of respect for the dead, but I also respect the living. But I understand that living, just because someone's a living entity doesn't mean that they're not dead inside. And when people are dead inside, they actually think they are the death. the Green Reaper. And then we get into things such as serial killers, and then we get into the dark side of energy. And not everybody's ready for that because people don't want to manifest it. But I hate to say this, there's people who are directly manifesting these kind of things on projecting it to other people. It's necessary to protect your energy, be aware, and understand yes, life always overshadows death. Yes, it does, and your afterlife. I don't know why that sounded so harsh, me saying that. In the afterlife, people constantly play with death. Like, for example, every time I breathe in puff bar, I know it has maybe 5%. I think it has 5% nicotine. I'm killing my body. Yet we want to be all scared of her, but we summon her in different ways. For example, if you know you have diabetes, blood pressures and stuff, and you're still eating sugar, still doing things you shouldn't be doing, playing, toying with death, calling, summoning, manifesting it. And just because you're not doesn't mean that somebody else ain't. For example, like you're there's a bus driver, he's not taking care of his health and he has a insulin attack or whatever, I don't know what it's called, diabetes attack, or like something goes low and then they lose sight of their vision and they, some final destination shit. And then you could be healthy than ever, taking care of yourself, doing everything right, and then you become a victim because someone else's circumstances was calling. You might be able to survive, then walk out scotch free, and the person that was constantly playing with death finally gets to, oh, I thought, I thought, I thought you was calling on me. I thought that's what you wanted. Now, let me tell you a personal experience with death, my death. I talked about it yesterday, but I feel like I have died one too many times, like weird, eerie ways, like, with my blood. And then one time I knocked my head off, like even saying things, I wish they would die, saying stuff like that. That's people really say that kind of stuff. Before I even got onto this platform, I would like to say many, many, many years ago, many, maybe 15 years ago. I don't quite remember. I recall hearing people saying that they wish certain children would be dead. Like, and I'd be like, don't say that. Like, don't ever say that. Don't ever wish though. Like, be careful what you say because death is in us and so is life. So if you speak life into people, they will there comes a light. But if you're constantly speaking death, like, I wish they would die, instead, I wish them a good life. No, those words, you could throw salt or you could throw honey. It's up to you. But just remember, those things that you throw out in the air might come back and bite us in the ass later, because the same thing you wish on others, and even if you don't, just know that we're in the world where people carry that kind of spite. They carry more death than what they carry life, and they're constantly taking life from people in order for them to get a little bit of life, because that's all they know and that's all they want to know. We have to be very understanding that it's not our job to change everyone. It is not a job. No one hired you. Maybe if you're a counselor, maybe, yeah, okay, there's certain occupations that do require that. But we can only do so much when people prefer to die than rather than live. And not that I'm getting very preachy on you, but I run my platforms like how I like to run them. Whether it's me channeling, whether it's me getting downloads, or whether it's me actually doing the tarot, or just talking to you about a movie, it will resonate somehow, some way in your life, or will get you thinking on certain things. these murderers, these rapists, these pedophilians, all these people in this world, they have mothers and fathers. They come from somewhere. They come from broken homes. They come from good homes. They come from a certain area code, society, institution, congregation. We don't know why they are closer to death than what others are closer to life, and why certain people choose to carry that kind of energy. And some of these things ain't meant for us to understand, and some of us want to understand, and that's why they do surveys, and that's why they watch certain like the census. Even when you go on the FBI profiles and stuff like that, you could go on like the rate on women that are criminals, men, what kind of crime are more women likely to do. What is it in science that gets us closer to have these thoughts of killing, and these thoughts of committing crimes, and these thoughts of taking energy from someone else because they carry a light? And then we say people suffer from mental illness. Is it really a mental illness, or is it something that's passed down through genealogy, through your DNA, through a helix, through through society? And what makes certain people find the light in such dark areas? There's people that are born out of cults, real cults. I'm not talking about the occult, real cults, where they're conditioned to be sex slaves. They groom them as a little bit, little babies to, be sex slaves, human trafficking, organ. I mean, we're getting into the dark stuff right here. Now, when we get enlightened about how much dark there is in the world, our light seems very dim, but it's not, because we are connected to many lights all across the world. It's a lot easier to connect to light now more than ever than what it was then, because we have this energy source right here, as far as YouTube, as far as like worldwide connection. But as much as we have light that we can connect to others, so can darkness, and it can change at, with situations, with people, and with energy that enters your own realm, and you entering, stepping into someone else's realm. For example, watching me on live and putting comments under here, you participate on sharing energy. I remember watching a documentary about, there was a very hard, there was this man that, like, he dedicated his life bashing women, sending them, like, doing hateful things to them, putting like, finding it was like a group, men would send them pictures of like their exes naked, or like exposing women. This went as far as getting into the dark web. Even the dark web tried to shut them down, all kinds of stuff. The FBI tried to shut them down. It was this one man. Finally, they were able to buy out his company. All kind. It was just, it's crazy. Like, they have a close eye on this guy. I don't remember the name. I just know I was watching it. And it's like, what kind of person breeds that kind of hate? What has happened to a person? And some of these people come from very happy homes, very happy homes, and it's like having too much light could turn someone into the darkness, because it's like, balance is so important. For example, these things that they talk about, the priest and people like in the church that like touch kids, it's no, mostly known on the Catholic Church. No shade, allegedly. And I'm not trying to cause war on the church, because there's good people in the church. But for those infamous allegations and stuff that is swept under the carpet, what makes someone that speaks on divinity so much be attracted to something so innocent? A light. I had a conversation with a shaman recently when I was in the store. And I asked them, I said, "Do you believe that you need light?" It's direct. Do you believe we need light in order to? We have to have darkness in order for us to have light, and we need to have light in order to have darkness because we don't understand one or the other. It's almost like the weather. We need the sun as much as we need water, as much as we need the grass, vegetation, and then it goes on to the whole cycle of the bees. And without the bees, we would die off. I didn't even notice that today I was in yellow and black. The bee. And then amongst the bee, there's these wasps that eat the bees. They're disguised like a bee, but they're there to kill the bee. So I really believe that divination is like that. You never know what is a bee and what is a wasp, and it can hide and blend in like that. Like, what I do like about my channel, I have been angry on here before. I have been upset. I have been you A lot of people have seen every side of me. But it's the decisions that I decided to do while I was in my emotions that speaks in volumes about my character, my thoughts. So Capricorn, we have to understand that balance, that it's necessary. And sometimes we suffer a lot. Some of us are meant to suffer our first half of our life so we can have a good life in our second. Some of us suffer on our second half of our life. We get to deal with diseases and heartbreaks and people dying off and stuff. Those are real issues, real problems, real things, real experiences that people go through. We don't know how will we react until death is right in front of us. And when we overcome that, when we survive that, and what we continue to do from having those opportunities where they don't cut the cord of life on us and we continue to breathe, if we keep allowing the wasp to eat the bees. So, what do the bees do? They repopulate as fast as they can. So, having that smile, having that light, we got to try to be as contagious as we can, if it's possible, a day at a time, because it's the same way of trying, like the 12 steps as far as AA, it applies with your happiness. Your happiness is day by day. I wouldn't even say day by day, hour by hour, minute, and per second. It's a choice. Clearly, when someone is dying in front of you, you're not going to be like laughing overjoyed. I get it. I get it. Kind of even seems cruel. But everyone has a different experience. Let's say the monster that used to frighten you all the time finally dies and you're overjoyed. Would that make me a sinner because finally the one that was torturing me died, passed away? That makes me a killer? Makes me a sinner? Or is my justice justified in my eyes or in the eyes of the Most High? You understand where I'm getting at? Like, damned if I do and damned if I don't. We think we want something until it's right there in front of us, and then we start to double think about if this is how I want to live or is how I want to die. But it's all on perspective. Because sometimes I wake up and I want to live, and sometimes I have to find reasons to want to live spiritually, internally, emotionally. Because death is not always physical. Death is internal because you're born with it. You're born with life and you're born with death because we are all going to die. And that moment that it happens, Are we going to avoid that topic, or do we need to be reminded so we can live better, so we can do better, so we can make better decisions, or live the best versions of ourselves? Because everybody comes from different ethnic groups, different backgrounds, with different religions, families, and as we grow older, we get accustomed in our ways, and those ways aren't healthy for us. That old way must die in order for us to continue to live forward. And growing older, we have to unlearn some bullshit that was taught to us to kill us. Because sometimes we feed our own poison. Like when I talk to you about living and I'm still killing myself in front of you. I just had something really weird happen. I was looking at the dice when I first started, and it wasn't at number one. And now it is. There's the six and there's the one. Because I feel like the darkness, this is how it is. It was that one. For every 1 point, there is six darkness around you. That's how our population is ran as far as energy. Because light can overcome darkness. That's why there's fewer light than there is of dark. Because one room, just one room, and you light it up with the light bulb, it lights up the whole room, right? Darkness can only be in certain corners. But as soon as the light, if when the night is dark, what is it that illuminates the night? The moon. The moon, right? Through the silhouette of the moon, you can see a lot. Now, speaking on the moon, today I just found out that we only see one side of the moon. No matter what direction that you're on, we always see one side of the moon. That also speaks on a lot. When we only see the light and we don't see the darkness, that can put you vulnerable to attack. God never told you to go and be a bully, but He never told you to be no punk. And see how that also like makes you wonder on the balance of the ethers. When there was a whole army coming through and He parted that sea, and then whew, everybody was killed off. But they say thou shalt not kill. But there's exceptions to certain things because everybody carries a different remedy. Everybody has a different story. Everyone has different situations. And there's something that the Most High, the moon, the sun, what's around us, even the bees know that we don't know. They understand death, they understand that cycle of life, they understand their purpose. Why is it that as humans we lose that so much? We lose focus on our purpose, we lose focus, we lose track, and then we get sidetracked on things that don't even help us grow. I don't quite know where I'm getting at with all of this, but I will tell you, death is in us, death is part of us, and death, we shouldn't fear it. Because sometimes there's people out here that have her specifically to balance out the ethers. When the bag kills themselves off, like there's that saying, rotten fruit will fall, it's going to fall off on its own. But rotten fruit can also plague another good seed. So you see how these balances, there's this, but then there's that, there's this, and then there's that, and it's death and life is constantly in us, running like an engine every single day, every single second. Do you know if you eat a hot dog, you lose 30 minutes of your life? Yeah, I fucking love hot dogs. I love hot dogs. Every time I eat one, I know I'm taking 30 minutes out of my lifespan. Every time. Throw some ketchup on it and some mustard. I like it bacon wrapped. Throw some jalapenos on there, tomatoes, onions, mayo. Yeah. Put them in little pieces. I'm fucking it up. Yet people want to find themselves so scared of her, but she's the most famous thing in Hollywood. She's the it thing. She's popping. She knows everything. She can do things. She can give you life insurance. She can get you paid through her. You can inherit a lot of money. Through her, a lot of enemies can perish. Through her, you will have a job position opened. Who said COVID really was a curse? People don't thank her enough. And I know that it seems very harsh because people are like, my mom died, my son. You know what? I almost died too off of COVID. And it ain't the first time that I'm like actually passed away. And so I'm saying, maybe it's because I have actually experienced that I know I'm not to fear anything because I fear more of I cry more than I have ever in my life ever since I fucking passed away. More than I have ever in my life. These last 3 years have been nothing but tears, and it's been nothing but death. And getting understanding once you've shed so many tears, it's like also like living in the ghetto. Like, say if you're in the projects in California, Chicago, you're in the projects, people die every single day. You can die just by going to go buy a piece of candy up the street. And you was never gangbanging a day in your life. But it's like looking at the different shades of death and looking at the different shades of life. Life can bring you danger because people that carry death in them that are too comfortable with it will want to kill you for your light. And you got to be careful where you light up that room because some people are opportunists. How many stars have had their spirituality or the way they think about life die completely because of being in the Hollywood limelight? And where they make these accusations and say they're in the Illuminati, they sacrificed the life. And maybe that's not true, but La Santa Muerte estaba allí. She was there. And she heard what these people were making up rumors and stuff. You got to be careful what you think, your thoughts, and what you say out loud. And we will be held accountable for all of that because she can hear you. They can hear you. And it's funny that the word love starts with L, life, love. You ever hug someone that gives you life? You ever, like, for those that love children, when the child holds onto your pinky and you just automatically, it sparks you up and you're like, oh my gosh. Yet when you see your child crying and you see your child going through all these experiences, you start to feel like the energy, and you feel like, if they get sick, you're like, oh, freaking out, like, I please give my child life that they may not die. you know it's it's different than going and hugging a bear. And I'm not talking about actual bear, like a teddy bear. I was like, don't go out there hugging bears unless you know what you're doing because the motherfuckers will kill you. And some people confuse love to that because that's all the love they've ever known. That love will get you killed. And many people say that. Many people who live in the dark, they live by that saying, love will get you killed. I'd rather have respect because you'll fear me. And so you're not going to tell me you can't respect death. Who does, like, if you're toying with that entity, you better have some fucking respect for it because that's not something you should play with. I'm not talking about worshiping. Be careful with her because she is real. She does exist. She works for God. I'm telling you. That's one of his people. That's part of his crew. She may seem dark, but that's part of his crew. There's a reason why he has her as part of his crew. There's a reason why she goes and knocks on doors. 444 4 right now. Maybe I was waiting on it. But and people will be calling for her and wishing her to do demands and demands and demands until she starts obeying somebody else that makes the same wishes on you or on them or whatever situation. This is a very famous video I'm putting out right now. Let's make death famous. As death can make someone famous too. You be careful what you wish for. I wish I could become known by everybody, and you will be known by everyone by your death, your freak accident. And when you're wishing something, remember, it's all about balance. So if you have to pay off a debt, that life is owed. And people play with their lives every single day like that. They go and get loan sharks. They go and deal with people that fuck with her. They carry out the acts that she calls upon. They play Reaper. There's out here where I'm at, they have the Green River Killing, that serial killer and stuff like that. Like, yeah, Green River Killing, and also it was in that area, but he played Ted Bundy. A lot of the people that have survived and said I was fighting death. One of the main reasons he got caught is that he ended up trying to kidnap a girl. I think that her dad had taught her how to self defense and stuff like that. She kicked the fuck out of him and was able to escape when you're fighting death. But let's when people want to become her and they act on her accordingly, and it's not like natural death, because I was looking up death and the many meanings and many interpretations and different worlds and blah blah blahs, blasey blasey. um they call death, it's very different, like homicides, suicides, like there's different words for like the common 1,000 ways to die, and they're not always, like I said, it's not always physical. Some shit is very eternal, very spiritual, and very eerie, because to have, like, where does this come from? I honestly feel like generational curses and debt being paid off through what your forefathers have done and what's in the family. But maybe I don't have enough credential to say that, but I believe I have enough knowledge and experience for me to be able to form my opinion on it. Not just from having experience from living it and surviving it, but seeing it. And I've a high priestess. I am a medium. I read tarot. I talk to ghosts. I talk, if I choose to, or if they choose to come to me. Now, speaking on that, being a medium, I'm not like other mediums. There's some very popular mediums out here, right? And they make big shows. They go and they deal with so many people. It's kind of, I applaud them. Shit, that's hell of a gift. But also in low key, I'm like, yo, you gotta rest. You gotta rest. That's a lot of energy. It worries me. But that's not my job to worry. They obviously know what the fuck they're doing. So yeah, obviously they wouldn't be doing if they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. But death comes to me very different. And death, those are mediums. Your gift comes to you very differently. Some people, for some reason, they can see more the dark side of the death. And there's some people that can see worldwide death. And there's people that can literally, everywhere they go, they see whatever has died there. And there's people that dream it. And there's people that can it comes to you in certain times when you're supposed to receive a message. And to me, it has been a fucking freestyle. Like, there's times where I can see a lot. There's sometimes that I can see from afar. And there's sometimes I see it in dreams. Sometimes I can actually feel my spirit go into something else and feel it. And sometimes, kid you not, I don't feel shit at all. And I've been around other mediums and they're like, well, I see this and this right now. I'm like, yo, your spirit ain't talking to me though. I don't see it, but man, tell me more. Like, I don't dismiss it, but tell me more. Fascinating. It fascinates me. It fascinates me that I can see sometimes I can see the same thing somebody else sees. Sometimes there has been that we can actually see the like it's fucking crazy. And these kind of things inspire Hollywood and it inspires other people that have lived certain things like that. Like, for example, like supernatural things, when you have extraterrestrials, aliens, entities that you run into, local entities, local locations in your area that are known for a lot of paranormal activity, certain energy, certain homes, a certain clothes. Like, it's crazy, very crazy. As you get older, we start to dip in into the deeper side, to the dark side sometimes. Understand when you're dipping into something that is very foreign, you must always walk with faith. I'm not saying to ever denounce what you see in front of you or to stop believing or change your ways. All I'm saying that anything that you do as far as even having a job position that requires you to know and deal with death, for example, homicide detectives, people and as coroners, people that actually do the autopsies and stuff like that, you're constantly with death. Is so important to have faith and have respect and have an understanding about this thing called life, because some of us are meant are were our body, our DNA is made up for us to be able to handle these kind of situations, and some people ain't, 'cause they're not taught to use it properly. Do you know how popular a medium is in congregation? Do you know that majority of these congregation leaders and all, they happen to be mediums, natural healers. They just don't announce themselves like that. They use different words. Maybe I'm giving you too much knowledge today, but since I had a whole fucking emotional breakdown yesterday, and I've tried to do your reading like 3 times on TikTok, finally I found a good one. And yesterday I tried to do a talk to me to explain myself, and all the lights turned off on me unexpectedly on my talk to me. And I'm guessing that spirit didn't want you guys to know anything. It completely shut everything off. And so you have to look at death in different views, different perspectives, and because she's everywhere at the same time, like she is God's helper. She does what he wants her to do, period, or she would not exist. The same thing, like I really believe that this realm is a test to get into heaven's gates. If you can survive hell, you're worthy of heaven. That's how I feel like it. But not everybody will agree, and that's okay. That's okay. um but being open and still being able to believe, because we have evolution has been very crazy these last 2000 years or whatnot. And our ideology has changed, and we are broadened and we have access to limitless knowledge. There's no reason at all why we should close our eyes to that. In order to survive, you must adapt to your hostile environment. Make sure that you have enough knowledge to adapt to this thing called life. Blessings to you.